Hello guys, so I'll be talking about the DMO question, which is sin square 1 plus sin square 2 plus the root of sin square 90, which I unfortunately got wrong because even though this question is actually very easy, I realized that after the exam, during the time, I just had the wrong thought process. So let me show you what that was, and then later I'll be showing the real answer and how to do it. So first, I put this into summation. N goes from 1 to 90 sine square of n. Now this part is not wrong, but the next part, what I did was wrong. So I made this equal to the integration going from 1 to 90 of sine square, let me use x because it will be easier, sine square x dx. Now, you cannot actually do this step. This step is already wrong. Because here, when you go from 1 to 90 for sine square dot 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 dot, this works with discrete values, but integration only works with continuous values. This works because dx is very small that the next jump to the number, it isn't even that significant and it acts continuous. Because integration is the area under the curve and it includes all of these points right here, and dx, since it is very likely to 0, that means when you step up the dx, let's say going from 1 to 5, that means it will go from 1, then 1.0001, like that, all the way to 5. So in that way, it is virtually continuous. That is what integration works with. But this is discrete values because between sine square 1 and sine square 2, there is sine squared 0.5 as well. There is sine squared 3.7. There is sine squared 89.358, etc. There is those middle values which are not in this, and they are discrete values. So this is already wrong. Now, in the next step, I did even something stupider. So I was like, well, if I want to go from 1 to 90, I can compute the value for 90, but it will be for difficult to value for 1. Now, I'll have to say that I unfortunately forgot to bring my calculator or even any stationary tools to the exam because I was in a hurry. So I didn't want to calculate the value of 1. So I let this go from 0 to 90 sine square x dx, and an unforgivable mistake. I did minus sine square 1. Why? I don't know. I thought I'm removing 1 minus sine square 1, but in fact I should say this is not actually equals to that, because when I'm going from 0 to 90, that means that I have added sine square 0 to the original equation, which I can actually do. I don't really change anything by adding sine square 0, because sine square 0 is simply just 0. Adding 0 does nothing. So in fact, I don't even need this if I wanted to do the next step, but it was already wrong here, so it did not matter. Now if you want to compute the value for this is just 1 minus cos 2x by 2 integration 1 by 2x minus sine 2x by 2 and blah blah blah, and you get 45, which I think you get 45. 1 by 290, yeah, I think, yeah, it should be 45, but that's not the actual answer. Now I'll be going on to the part of the video where I explain how to do this process, and in fact it's easy once you know it. This actually does not require calculus, but requires basic geometry or basic trigonometric knowledge. You need to know that sine x is equals to cos 90 minus x, and similarly that means sine square x is equals to cos square 90 minus x. And another fact is that, well, simply the most basic trigonometric identity, sine square theta plus cos square theta, or sine square x plus cos square x equals to 1. So now the original equation was this. You can in fact write it as that. This is correct till this step. Now in the original equation you can add sine square 0, making it go from actually 0 to 90. Then, but in fact you don't even write it in summation form actually. what you can do is, well, use some logic. Sine square 0 plus sine square 1 plus dot 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 sine square 44 plus sine square 45 plus sine square 46 plus dot 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 sine square 89 plus sine square 90. Now we have to use this first property right here. Sine square x is cos square x 90 minus x. So let's look at sine square 44 and sine square 46. I'll write it better. So sine square 46. If I wanted to write it in terms of cos, this will be cos square 90 minus x, which is our 46. So we get cos square 90 minus 46 is 44. And we then use this property right here. Sine square x plus cos square x equals to 1. And here we have sine square 44 and cos square 44. These two when added will give 1. Now, if you see for the first and last number, this is sine square 0, sine square 90, which is cos square 90 minus 90, which is cos square 0. And here sine square 0 plus cos square 0 is equals to 1. And here, in fact, all the terms from here plus all the terms from here to here, these are all going to add up simultaneously, 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1, and we need to find out how many ones there will be. So we'll start with sine square 0, sine square 0 plus cos square 0, that is 1, plus, or 1 angle, sine square 1 plus cos square 1, that is the next angle, plus dot dot dot, and our last one will be sine square 44 plus cos square 44. So that means we first begin with 0, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that means, well, simply we will have 45 of these terms in here, because the 45th term will be 44, because the first term is 0, n equals to 1, theta equals to n minus 1, right? So when n is equals to 45, theta will equals to 44 degrees. That means this is simply 45 into 1, and then we have our remaining sine square 45, which we have to add. Now this 45 into 1 is 45 plus sine square 45. Well, sine 45 is simply 1 by root 2. When you square it, it's just 1 by 2. Therefore, we get 45.5. But in the MCQ, all of the answers were in fractions. So when you write it in fractions, it is 90 plus 1, 91 by 2. That is the required answer. And the superior thing I did was, well, you know that how I got 45 and I had that minus sine square 1. I knew that even then sine square 1 will be very low number, but even then I thought, well, it will be smaller than 45, so I chose the option that was lesser than 45, which was 44.5 or 89 by 2. So obviously wrong, and even that would have been wrong. So this is our actual answer. So if you learn something new, please like and subscribe. Don't do this mistake that I did if this question comes up. Thank you.